Latias finally joins Ash? Let's talk about it. We just got the 6th episode in the Pocket Monsters aim to be a Pokemon Master series, and we're looking at the same moon, and it was better than expected. If you enjoy these episode reviews right after the episode airs, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe as it truly helps support the channel, and we're on that final push for 30,000 subs. But enough of that, let's talk about the episode. So the episode starts with Misty and Brock cleaning up after they ate, and Ash and Pikachu are just chilling under a tree when all of a sudden Team Rocket attacks and abducts Pikachu. This is now the 2nd time in the aim to be a Pocket Monster series, where Team Rocket steals Pikachu while Ash is sleeping, so I think Ash should just not sleep under trees and he could avoid this entire thing. But a really cool part about this one is that they actually had a mecha again, and it seems like they haven't had a mecha in a very long time, so it was really cool to see that come back again. After abducting Pikachu, Ash sends out Snivy to use Leaf Storm to break the net, and in the explosion Pikachu blasts off with Team Rocket, and they are now separated. And honestly, that was the last time that we saw Snivy, which is kind of crazy. Like, he's the only Pokemon that appeared from Ash besides Pikachu in this episode, and all it did was Leaf Storm. Technically caused the plot of this episode because of it Pikachu went blasting off with Team Rocket, and then now we never see her again. Poor Snivy, she honestly deserved a lot better than that, but you know, it was cool to see her nonetheless because a lot of Pokemon won't even be making an appearance, so at least she got to make somewhat of an appearance. Probably the most underutilized Pokemon besides Snorlax and Totodile. So when they get separated, Meowth and Pikachu are together, and they fall in this river where all of a sudden a Gyarados attacks. Yes, Gyarados. This is like the 3rd Gyarados that's appeared ever since Pokemon Journeys came to an end, and there's another one that's going to come out soon most likely, but they're just running away from this Gyarados, and finally they need to work together to make their way back to Jessie and James as well as Ash. It's always nice to see Pikachu and Meowth interacting with each other because they really have that bromance going along where they really like each other, but at the same time they obviously don't trust each other. Eventually, while they're going, Meowth is really hungry, and when he sees a Oranberry that he wants to eat, there's some Pidgeys eating it. So Meowth does what he does, throws a rock at it, but accidentally hits a Spearow, making a reference to the original episode. And when the Spearow goes to protect itself, you know, he just got hit in the head randomly. He was minding his own business. Pikachu uses Thunderbolt on him too. So honestly, this poor Spearow was the butt of the joke. Like, poor guy minding his own business, gets hit in the head, goes to retaliate and gets hit again. Like, this poor Spearow went through the ringer in this episode. But it was really cool to see that. And eventually Ash and Gang would come and see the Spearow as well, with a little bump on his head, and it was cool seeing Ash, you know, interacting with a Spearow. Kind of a nice little callback to the 1st episode where he couldn't get along with it, and he kind of calms it down, and then Brock shows how he's a good Pokemon doctor by treating its wounds with a potion and by covering its eyes. After that, we get a cool scene where there's a Rattata that's going through Ash's bag as he sees some cheese, and then they also get a bonding moment with Rattata. So it was really cool seeing Ash having a Spearow and a Rattata, 2 cool Pokemon that he could have had at some point in his journey, but he just never got around to it. Both of these Pokemon were MVPs of this episode, helping Ash and Pikachu kind of reunite, and it was a cool thing just seeing Ash have other Pokemon. At some point, Pikachu and Meowth get a Caterpie, and as they're going around, they go out to this big tree filled with Venipedes, right? And as Pikachu's climbing, he sees Venipedes, but he's kind of, you know, they're sleeping, he's trying to get his way out, and Meowth sneezes, which is a cool reference to the Pokemon Chronicles episode where Gilbert sneezes and alerts the Mankeys, which, speaking of Pokemon Chronicles, me and Starmeister have a review series where we did review and recap every episode of Pokemon Chronicles, so if you want to check that out after this episode, then go ahead and check the playlist link down in the description below. Something that this episode did really well was the comedy factor. I was honestly impressed and surprised that this episode had such comedy in it, but they pulled it off really well and everything was done really well. I laughed and chuckled a few times. Then the climax of this episode happens where it's nighttime, and as the title says, they're both looking at the moon, and then they had like this overly drawn out scene where they're both looking at the moon and just clips play, literally just clips play over the moon, and I thought it was a nice touch. I thought it was a really cool moment, but it did stretch out way longer than I wanted it to. It was just like, they're like, oh, we need to, like, you know, fill in a minute and a half of space. Let's just put a still shot of the moon and play some old clips over it with like 80% opacity. Like, that was cool and all, but it just did stretch out much longer than I would have liked it to. But it was a cool scene nonetheless, and really shows, you know, the bond between Ash and Pikachu. And there was a cool reference to the Pikachu and Ash's Caterpie when they were just talking up over the rock. That's a cool throwback to the 2nd or 3rd episode of the series where Pikachu and Ash's Caterpie do the same thing. Not only is Ash a Pokemon Master, but Pikachu is also a Pokemon Master. As we see when Meowth is poisoned, he kind of guides Caterpie and Oddish that they need a Pecha Berry to cure its poisoning after he recalls when Ash gave him a Pecha Berry at one point when he was poisoned. And then finally at the end of the episode when they just reunite really suddenly, I thought that was really funny. Like they were just lost forever and then like 1 second after the next morning happens they just find each other. But then they're falling down a cliff and Latias finally intervenes, showing that it's not only watching Ash but it's actually overly protecting it this time. It just comes in, swoops them off from their falling down, puts them back out and leaves. And then they're like, what happened? Doesn't matter, at least I'm back with Pikachu. Like they just completely brush off the fact that they were just saved by an invisible force. Like nothing even happened, you know, just another day in Ash and Pikachu's life. Overall, I'm going to give this episode a 7 out of 10. It was better than a lot of the episodes so far, but not better than all of them. But I did like this episode far better than I was expecting. This episode had really good character moments for both Pikachu and Ash, great comedy all around, and honestly, it was just a really fun episode to watch. As usual for this series, the OST was really good, the pacing was pretty good except for the end with a sudden rush, and the moon scene just dragging on way too long. But overall, a solid episode, 7 out of 10. What do you guys think? Let me know your rating in the comments below. But for now, let's take a look at the preview trailer and make our predictions for the next episode. Yep, so next episode's gonna be an Ash Lapras episode. It's really cool seeing all of these singular Ash Pokemon episodes, and in this one there's gonna be some washed up Wailmer. Like these Wailmers are always getting into some situations. But the cool thing about this episode is not only that Ash's Lapras is coming back, but there are just so many Pokemon coming back, like Misty's Gyarados. Again, Gyarados is just beloved by the Pokemon company right now. Like they're like, well, we animated into one episode, we might as well just overutilize this asset and bring it into every single episode. It's really cool that we're getting to see Ash's Kingler for me, which he hasn't done anything in forever, even more than like Lapras basically, so it's really cool to see him coming back. Hopefully Kingler and all these Pokemon are better utilized than Snivy was, but with such a big cast of Pokemon, a lot of them are probably just going to be there looking pretty. Not only is it great to see Ash's old Pokemon, but it's also really cool to see Brock and Misty's as well. Like, it was really cool to see the fact that they are coming back and like Marshtomp is there, again Gyarados is there. I just want to see all of their Pokemon come back at some point, and it's just going to look like a rescue mission episode. This episode's probably going to be them focusing on rescuing these Wailmers and doing who knows what. Probably not accomplishing much, but it does look like a pretty fun episode, and whenever we can get a lot of Pokemon back, it's always going to be a good one. Even Heracross is helping Ash go down this cave, so it's going to be a fun episode. I think it's going to be really cool to see all of these Pokemon interact, and overall doesn't seem like a bad episode from what we can see so far. It'd be really cool to see the Ash's Lapras coming back with all the other Laprases coming to help, like the different color Lapras as well, because as we know, Ash's Lapras is the leader of the pack, so it'd be really cool to have them come back and also help in this episode too. And now that I think about it, Ash has 2 leaders of packs. He has a Tauros and a Lapras that are leaders of the 2 packs. That's an off comment, but yeah. If you made it this far into the video, I want to thank you and welcome you to join my Discord server. We just passed 700 members and are about to start another Pokemon Showdown tournament, so if you want to join that, please come and join and be part of that. It's going to be really fun and you can become part of the posse too. Today's question of the day is, which of Brock's Pokemon do you want to see return next, not counting Marshtomp? If I had to pick one, it would probably be Geodude because for some reason that's one of my favorites that he has. But what do you guys want to see return? Let me know in the comments below. I also really want to hype you guys up for my upcoming discussion video, which is going to be out next Wednesday. It's the follow-up for my last discussion video, but this time I'm going to talk about my favorite Pokemon of Ash for each type. But with that being said, it's been your boy Luap, and I'm out. Peace.